From Alistair Sim to Bill Murray to the Muppets, I've seen a lot of adaptations of Charles Dickens' classic book, A Christmas Carol. But while I've certainly rooted for Tiny Tim and cheered when the curmudgeonly Scrooge had his change of heart, never have I pondered the greater lore that is only hinted at in that classic tale. Where did all the ghosts come from? Do they visit other misguided Londoners? And more importantly, did Ebenezer's new outlook on life stick after the holiday season? These are just a few of the questions answered in Ebenezer and the Invisible World, a brand new side-scrolling adventure game that is the Christmas Carol sequel that you never knew you wanted. Will this weird follow-up fill your heart with the holiday spirit? Or will it make you say, bah humbug? That's what we're about to find out when I review Ebenezer and the Invisible World from Orbit Studio. I don't think I need to introduce Ebenezer Scrooge because I'm pretty sure that everybody already knows the story of A Christmas Carol. He was a miserable old man and an even worse boss who is visited by the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future, where he has a triumphant change of heart and embraces the holiday spirit. God bless us everyone, or so says Tiny Tim. Ebenezer in the Invisible World picks up a few years later, suggesting that because Scrooge had a taste of the ghostly world, he is now connected and able to see and interact with other spirits. As it turns out, Ebenezer is not the only cold-blooded miser to have his Christmas ruined by a bunch of ghosts. You see, the same thing happened to Casper Mathis, but instead of having the intended results, the intervention unleashed something in him that allowed him to bring a powerful being from the other side. Because of this, deceased British naval officer Eric Fellows needs somebody who is not only part of the living world, but can also do battle with the evil spirits haunting 19th century London. So, who do they call? A 60-year-old rich dude who uses a cane to get around, of course. Okay, I'll admit that the whole setup is a bit preposterous, but it does lead to a fun, albeit flawed, action-adventure game that fits squarely in the Metroidvania subgenre. This is a game where Scrooge will run all over old-timey London in order to help friendly ghosts and collect items and power-ups that'll open up new parts of the map. It's a formula that we've seen a million times before, but it's done well here with a festive Christmas twist and a compelling setting to explore. The fact that you're taking on different quests actually helps to differentiate this game from a lot of the other releases in the genre. You'll typically need to find a letter or some sort of evidence that exonerates a ghost or at least brings some peace to them in the afterlife. While other quests can be as simple as helping out the people of London by repairing the light fixtures. Some of these are optional, though there are a lot of missions that will result in you learning some sort of new skills such as a double jump, a slingshot move, and the ability to dash through certain types of doors. These moves are all tied to the ghosts, so when you see them performed, you'll actually see the ghost helping Ebenezer jump higher or go places that he normally wouldn't be able to go. There's actually a surprising amount of things that you can earn throughout the course of the game. It goes well beyond the abilities that'll open up new parts of the map, because you're also collecting new weapons, including everything from whips to ghostly axes. You'll also find items that give our hero perks and advantages, such as pointing to hidden treasure, traveling underwater, increasing your speed, attracting gold, and so much more. There are actually 30 of these perks to collect, though you can only equip 4 of them at any given time. You're gonna need to make some real tough decisions here. From there, things largely play out like you'd expect. You thoroughly explore London streets, the observatory, the asylum, the cemetery, and even the Mathis factory, all while taking on a number of challenging bosses, helping out our ghost friends, and slowly revealing Casper's nefarious plot. The level design is fantastic, and the developer has done an excellent job of world building, giving each and every part of the map a unique identity that will immediately be recognizable. This is a game that gets most of the fundamentals right, making it yet another fun Metroidvania-style action game. Unfortunately, Ebenezer and the Invisible World has a whole host of technical and execution problems that are constantly getting in the way of a good time. A big problem is that Scrooge just isn't that much fun to control. He's slow and sluggish, prone to taking cheap hits that'll take way too much damage. The platforming bits are fine, but everything falls apart the moment you go up head to head against one of those tougher enemies. The first thing you're going to notice is that pretty much every ghost requires 3 or 4 hits, no matter how tough they are, which will usually give them enough time to lob 2 or 3 bombs at you. All this is made worse when you see how much health a single attack will take from our hero. Look, I get it, Ebenezer is an elderly man, but who thought it was a good idea to have a single projectile take off half of his health? And it's not like you have the option to grind for experience points in order to grow stronger because there's no leveling up. About the closest we get is equipping a new weapon, but most of the stronger whips and axes come with huge downsides like limited range, annoying dead zones, and more. And that assumes Ebenezer even attacks when you hit the button. I kept running into this frustrating situation where Scrooge refused to swing his axe. I kept pushing the button, but nothing would happen. It's almost as if each weapon has a cooldown that the game doesn't tell you about, so you're constantly running up to an enemy only to have to retreat because Ebenezer refuses to attack. Yeah, that's really annoying. There are also some weird graphical problems that plague the entire run of the game. While I like the overall look of 19th century London and was impressed with the attention to detail given to each location, there are just times when the game looks half-finished. There are big chunks of London city center where you can see the incomplete portions of the background. It's almost as if the thing that was supposed to cover up the unfinished bits just didn't load in, yet the same thing happens throughout the entire game. And speaking of technical problems, this game is full of them. Ebenezer in the Invisible World comes to us from developer Orbit Studio, who most recently worked on the fun Haunted House remake for Atari. That game was littered with frustrating bugs and glitches, including a few game-ending technical problems that left a bad taste in my mouth. Unfortunately, you see the exact same thing in this game. I kept running into the problem where our hero would accidentally jump off screen, making it impossible to advance the story. And then there are the many crashes that always come at the most inopportune times. I counted more than 20 crashes, with most of them happening in and around the same part of the map. Oh, my heart would skip a beat every time the dip to black transition between rooms took an extra couple of seconds to load, because I knew deep down that that meant the game was going to crash on me. And I'm telling you, it just kept crashing over and over and over. Look, there are other problems like the frustrating boss battles that don't even pretend to be fair and some clunky storytelling. But honestly, those barely feel relevant considering what else is wrong with Ebenezer in the Invisible World. And honestly, that's a shame because there are a lot of things that I like about this game. I dig the level designs, the stylish art, the atmospheric tone, and the impressive variety of weapons, items, abilities, and helpers to collect. You can tell that a lot of time has been put into making every part of the map stand out. And I would love to be able to recommend a Christmas-themed adventure game for the upcoming holiday season. But in its current state, I can't. Bah humbug. I sure hope that Ghost of Christmas Future haunts developer Orbit Studio and shows them what'll happen if they keep releasing buggy and broken games like Ebenezer and the Invisible World. While this Christmas-themed action game looks good and uses the ghost in a unique way, the entire adventure is plagued by sluggish gameplay and a whole section that crashed my PlayStation 5 a couple dozen times. I went in expecting a fun Metroidvania-style game to play with, but all I got in my stocking was a lump of coal. Hey, thanks for watching our review. If you liked what you saw here, then you should know that we post new reviews and features almost every day. Now, here's the question I have for you. What was the last video game that you gave away as a present? It doesn't have to be for Christmas, obviously, or really any holiday for that matter. I'm really just looking for something that you gave away as a gift. Let me hear your stories in the comments below. In other news, we'll be back next week with the start of our super secret Hush Hush holiday series. Plus, be on the lookout for a PlayStation review crew with Grandia and Jetmoto. If you can't wait for that, then do me a favor and click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.